Well, I got surgery like 2 weeks ago, yeah.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, I got holes in me still.
Ugh.
That's okay. They're healing. Actually, they're healing really nicely.
That's good.
Yeah. I've missed you. I've missed
you too.
I miss hanging out with the boys, but with the whole being in the hospital thing, everything got fucking wrenched up.
Yeah. But you're okay now. Well, I would hope so.
Yeah, I'm good now. I'm almost back up to 100. I just have those extra holes in my crotch now. Yeah. So, but yeah, other than that, I'm good.
Well, that's good.
Yeah. Did you have good holidays?
I did.
Yeah. What'd you do?
Just typical hangout with family stuff.
Nice.
Tried to catch up on much sleep, but didn't really.
Yeah. Oh no, that's a challenge for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I managed to make up all the lack of the lost sleep while I was in the hospital because it was either that or watch reruns of Seinfeld, and I chose to sleep instead.
That's a fair choice.
Yeah. Like I watched a full episode of Seinfeld and I was like, this is the dumbest show I've ever watched. Like half the episode is just them. Are you serious? Yeah, I'm serious. Wait, but seriously? Yeah, seriously. And I'm like, this was the highest watched show for like 5 years.
Yeah.
I also had a realization that that Seinfeld was just Friends before Friends, just like Friends was How I Met Your Mother before How I Met Your Mother. And how The Office was Parks and Recreation before Parks and Recreation.
Well, wait, which Office?
The Office. The American one.
The American one.
Yeah, I mean the British one was hard to watch.
It's just British humor that I couldn't get into it.
It's like, don't get me wrong, I love Monty Python, but I tried watching The Office. Well, first of all, the first episode is literally just the exact same episode as the American one.
American one, yeah.
They almost shot for shot, but it's like Michael Scott at his absolute worst, which is saying a lot considering. But we're here to talk about something wonderful. This is actually our first recording session in 2025 for the whole everybody. I've been out of commission since the 5th, so this is the first time I'm actually sitting down with any of the Sleepy Boys to record in the new year.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah. And we're talking about one of my favorite series crossing over with one of my least favorite series. That's right.
You don't like DC that much?
It's not that I don't like DC much. I don't particularly care about most characters outside of the Bat family.
Fair.
So yeah, we're talking about Justice League Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, not the other way around. I got in a lot of trouble for that at one point. Back when I worked at the comic book shop. So this was the start of the Power Rangers early kick to try and get supplemental Power Rangers content out there. So it's not that it's particularly bad. It's just since this came out, they've gotten a lot better content coming. So this was the early era of Power Rangers. This came out I think just less than a year after the ongoing series started.
Okay.
I will say, one of the things that Power Rangers does really well is they do hella covers for everything.
Oh, yeah.
This crossover is no exception. We had the main one, which is the classic split down the middle of one team on one side and the other on the other. And then each of the Rangers got their own team-up cover. So you had Batman teamed up with Pink Ranger, which makes perfect sense. Cyborg teamed up with the Blue Ranger, which actually does make sense. Flash teamed up with the Black Ranger, which I guess
that's I think it's their quips and their one-liners.
Yeah, I could see that. And then we got Yellow Ranger teamed up with Green Lantern because minority.
Yeah, I would assume so.
Green Ranger teamed up with Superman because they both have that like big shield on their chest. And then Red Ranger teamed up with Wonder Woman because they're both sexy.
Oh, absolutely.
So the series starts off in Angel Grove. Gives some estimates on like how many people live there and everything that just people living their lives. Angel Grove High School, a dude and his wife. I think that's supposed to be Trini's parents. I don't know for certain. And then the next page, it's just Angel Grove is gone, like huge smoking crater, and all the Rangers are just standing there like, good God, what happened? What do we do? And Superman's already there, and he's just like, hey man, look, I'm gonna be real with you. This is not your fault, Zach, Black Ranger Zach. I know who did this, so let's fix this. Spoiler alert. That's the end of the series. That's a huge jump backwards, or jump forward in time.
Yeah.
So the actual story begins 36 hours prior. There is one of the most famous and popular characters from the series, Alpha, and who's gone missing. And the Rangers are just like, I guess we're playing like hide and seek with Alpha. And when Zach finds Alpha, his entire chest panel has been ripped open. Now, Alpha is an automaton who has been around for 10,000 years. But suddenly he's just appearing with his chest piece torn open and melting and goopy. Which I don't know if you know this, Jose, or not, but machines typically aren't good when they're goopy.
Oh, what do you mean, man? I thought they all do that.
And because he's all melty and goopy, Alpha 5 explodes, leaving Lord Zed standing in the hole in the wall, just surefire cocky that this is going to be his win. And Zach, being the only Ranger in the command center at the time, is like, all right, fuck it, bring it on. And I will say, like, you don't see it very often in the TV show or even in the comics to see one Ranger going head to head against Lord Zed, but Zach steps up. He steps up, starts throwing hands at Zed. Zach teleports, and Zach teleports.
Right, he wants to get Zed away from the command center.
He wants Zed out of the command center, so he teleports away with Zed. And as he teleports, the other Rangers show up and start throwing hands with the putties that Zed brought with him. Now, one thing I will note here is Trini right here in this bottom panel throws hands and punches a putty in the face, right?
Mm-hmm.
At this point in time, Lord Zed had designed these putties with a big character, or with a big design flaw. Those Z's on their chest, if you punch the Z, it kills them, right? Which the Rangers know. So I don't understand why she's socking one in the face unless it's just purely because she wants to. So Trini,
she wants to suffer.
Yeah, she wants to make a point to this thing. Zach, at his new location, he dropped Zed in the middle of the teleportation on purpose. So Zed is falling somewhere. We don't know what happened to him, but Zach is now standing in an alleyway fighting off putties, and none other than the Batmobile shows up and is like, hey, put down the axe. Hi there, I'm Batman. You have an axe and you're going to put it down. And and Zach, as one might expect, is immediately like, oh, okay, so you're one of Zed's monsters, all right. Let's do it, and starts attacking Batman. I will say, Zach IQ in this is very low. He will attack anything that moves. But you got to respect the absolute gusto he goes at with it.
Oh, dude, yeah, he is like going toe to toe with Batman. This shit's crazy.
I mean, and Batman, a skilled martial artist, is like, okay, this sucks, but I'm going to disarm you. I'm going to put you in a sleeper hold. And then the rest of the Rangers show up and are like, excuse me, sir, please let go of our friend. And Batman's just like, no. Nope. And then Batman solos the 5 other Rangers as he calls for support, for a backup. At which point we get in red text because, you know, when you're talking to people that you can't see, it helps to have different differentiation. We have someone that's heading from Illinois through Ohio and closing in on Gotham City. So as we can guess, it's the Flash, who shows up and immediately steals all the Power Rangers' weapons. Just blink of an eye. Everyone's holding their weapons, and then suddenly they're holding empty hands. And they're just like, hey, something fucky's going on here. And the Flash is like, all right, Batman's just like, all right, Flash, thanks, you did your job, now get out of the way. And he shoots what I can only call a bat rocket from his Batmobile. It's a missile with the wings of a bat.
Yeah. Okay.
Which, I mean, it also looks like a dildo with wings.
Yeah.
Like straight up. If the sound effect there wasn't flume, I wouldn't be surprised if it was just vibrating sounds. So, the Rangers are now like, hey man, listen, we're kind of screwed. We're gonna get him out of here so that we can regroup and everything. And Kimberly's like, guys, what's the best way to catch a bat with? A pterodactyl, obviously. And jumps. Oh my god, we get some of the dumbest dialogue in this. Like, the Flash is assessing the situation. He's like, guys, there's a pterodactyl dinosaur robot carrying the Batmobile in its mouth right now. And I gotta be honest, it does make for a pretty cool shot. It also, I will say, this one shot right here helps to establish exactly how big the pterodactyl Zord is in comparison to the Batmobile.
Yeah. So
the pterodactyl Zord's head is about 2.5 times the length of the Batmobile itself. And I would say it's about 10 Batmobiles, like, from wingtip to wingtip, maybe 12. So that gives a pretty good estimate on how big the pterodactyl Zord is, which in turn helps us kind of get a better idea of how big the Megazord is.
Oh, yeah.
So hell yeah. And then we move on to issue number 2. Issue the 2nd. The Rangers are kind of just like, okay, we need to keep an eye on this red guy as he's gone already. I don't know where he went. And Kimberly's like, guys, I've got the Batmobile thing. I got the Bat car with the auto turrets and missiles and an angry guy. But there's another guy who's got really nice 5 o'clock shadow, just kind of floating in front of me. And I gotta be honest, I'm looking at this the way they did Superman for this one, and I know that around the time that this came out, this was kind of the look for him. But Superman without the underwear, it doesn't work for me.
These ain't the what are these? Rebirth ones, are they?
This is 2017 would have been right around Rebirth.
Rebirth? Okay.
So like this would have been end of New 52, beginning of Rebirth, somewhere in there.
Gotcha.
And Superman's just like, hey, excuse me, can you put down the pterodactyl? Ideally you would put it down. And the Green Lantern shows up to help too. Green Lantern's like, I am going to hold these monsters in this green containment field. At which point, the Rangers are like, all right, bet. And they call the rest of their Zords, which somehow cross dimensions to get there. I don't understand how it's done, but somehow they're doing it.
Yeah, I also asked that question.
And, I mean, when this happens, like, there's really not much you can do aside from try not to get murdered by the giant robots. So Green Lantern gets downed, like, pretty quick. The Flash catches him. Cyborg shows up and he's like, guys, I got this. Step back. I'm a robot. I'm going to try talking to the robots. And while Cyborg and Green Lantern are distracting them, the Flash, like, does that thing where he can like vibrate his molecules through stuff, which I still call bullshit on that. I still call bullshit on the vibrating molecules through walls and shit. But whatever. We're not gonna deal with that. But he ends up dragging Jason out of the Tyrannosaurus Zord. And he's about to just start walloping, which, as we have seen that the Flash, when he like full on lets loose with the punches, he can do some major damage in a very short amount of time.
Yeah.
So thank God Superman's there to catch him, and he's like, hey, we don't need to keep fighting. They're not the bad guys. Wonder Woman's up there talking to the pink one with this lasso of truth around her, so we know that she's not lying. And so the Justice League and the Power Rangers are like, they do the YouTuber apology, like, I'm sorry guys, we messed up. Also, why doesn't Grumpy smile?
I love that it's Zach wanting to banter with Batman.
Oh, for sure.
Get him out of his shell.
Yeah. And we get the whole exposition. We're the Power Rangers. We come from a different universe. And we just want to bring our friend home, but we can't come back because we brought an evil skeleton muscle man with us, and we don't know where he's at. And just as they're having this cute little conversation of exposition, Lord Zed himself gets captured and dragged into a spaceship with a bunch of little, like, freakishly large-headed bird-faced aliens. And they're like, dude, you need to be cool because you're going to make him notice. And we see that Lord Zed has been shrunk down into one of Brainiac's little jar cities. And Lord Zed, being Lord Zed, he's like, I'm not going to hide from him. I'm going to go talk to him. And he uses one of... So Rita, in Season 1 of Power Rangers, had her staff that she would use to make people grow with, right?
Yeah.
Well, in Lord Zed's season 2, he had these bombs that when they would blow up, the monsters would grow, right? So he just keeps that. He comes with like a whole bunch of them on his person at all times. He comes, he's fully strapped with that, and he's just like, I'm gonna go have a conversation with this guy, and he uses one of the bombs on himself, so he grows exponentially. Just shatters the jar, and he's like, hey, how's it going? Brainiac's just like, what the shit just happened? But like in a Brainiac way, so he's more just like, oh, that
he's intrigued. Yeah,
that's fascinating. Nice, man. And basically the two of them just become best friends, and he's like, dude, Lord Zed's like, this is the coolest technology you've ever seen. You made little jars, like cities in a jar kind of thing, but like without having to build it with toothpicks and tweezers, man.
Whoa.
And he's like, just normal people things. Just starts tapping the glass on one of the jars, and Brainiac's like, hey, don't do that.
Yeah, he just fucking makes him so human. Just like,
hey, don't touch my stuff, man.
Don't touch my stuff. They hate that.
Quit touching my shit. And Zed's like, look, we may be from different worlds, but I think that we have something that can be mutually beneficial. You want a city to add to your collection from Earth specifically, but does it really have to be like this version of Earth? And Brainiac's like, I never thought of adding other dimensional cities to my collection, which doesn't make any sense because it's Brainiac. He's got like IQ of 1,000,000.
Yeah. You tell me he never had that thought before?
Yeah, he never had that thought. And as those two are scheming, and the Justice League and the Power Rangers are like tag teaming. If you like to see, I made it rhyme. A Dr. Seuss in here.
Ooh. Bars.
Kaiju start attacking. We have giant octopi from attacking Tokyo, Melbourne, Australia, Cairo, and Dublin, Ireland, all at the same time. So the Justice League is like, all right, we got to go, and Power Rangers, you brought the problem, so you're helping us. And they're like, no shit. But like in the PG version, because they're kids. So Superman. Okay, so it's established. Superman establishes based on flying around the planet really fast and not changing time. They are attacking a major city on every populated continent. Okay. And Batman, being all Batman, is like, oh, they're trying to split us up. We gotta divide and conquer. And so each of the so they call in all of the Justice League members, all the auxiliaries. We've got Green Arrow and Black Canary teaming up. We got Aquaman and Amber Heard. Amber Turd. Shazam is Shazamming. Beast Boy and Starfire are getting ready. And then they just kind of like, all right, we're gonna just focus on taking down the squids. And it's a pretty cool one because we get to see some uncommon team ups. Like in Melbourne, we've got Kid Flash, Batgirl, Supergirl, one of the Green Lanterns. I don't know which one, and Hawk Girl, all teaming up to fight the squid, and Wally's just like,
this is Rebirth.
Yeah, and Wally's just like knee deep in Girl right now, and he's loving it. Batman's teaming up with Zack the Power Ranger, and Beast Boy's there too. Wonder Woman and Pink Ranger and John Stewart Green Lantern are all fighting. Basically, they're all just like wailing on all these giant squid. These giant squid things have no idea what's going on, by the way. It's revealed that, Lord Zed and Brainiac are up to no good, and they kind of just threw some of Brainiac's toys down there. And while they're all dealing with the monsters, we have a bunch of Brainiac's drones landing on all the various Zords.
Yeah.
And taking control of not only the Zords, but also stealing the Morphers. Which means that, A, the Rangers are stuck and screwed in their Zords, and B, Brainiac now controls all of the Zords. So the Justice League just quick action, like, okay, we gotta get these kids out of those Zords, or else they're going to die. Now, something interesting to notice is, as they're all being extracted from the Zords, the only one of them that still has a weapon with them is Tommy, because the Dragon Dagger is not directly connected to his powers.
Oh, okay.
So, like, you'll notice that Kimberly, Zack, none of them have their power axe, their power bow. Tommy can still use the Dragon Dagger when he's not morphed, just not right now, because Brainiac.
Okay.
So, once they've realized, oh, the Zords are taken over, they also realize, oh, all of the monsters are gone too. Now they have exactly what they need. And the Rangers are like, okay, look, he has our power morphers, but like we're not just gonna roll over here. Like, there's got to be something we can do to help. And so they're trying to figure out a way to basically rip a dimensional portal back to their own world, which Billy's bright idea is, start up the Hadron Collider. Because why not? Because why not, Billy? So the Rangers and the Rangers and the Justice League go to Switzerland to borrow the Hadron Collider. And Superman walks through the door and is just like, "Hey, science guys, you guys are real cool.
We're gonna need help.
We're gonna need that Hadron Collider." And they're like, it's like 250 feet straight down underground. It's big. Like, you can't just pick it up. And they're like, we got this. We'll make it work. So they do the math. Billy's nerd ass does all the math. He's like, all right, here's what we need to do. We need to figure out a way to link our dimension to this dimension. Because aside from the kids, there's really not a viable way to connect that. And I imagine putting one of them in front of the Hadron Collider would probably explode them into a million bits.
Yeah.
So Tommy's like, hey, I've got the dragon dagger. It wants us to go home. And everyone's just like, yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense that you can feel the pull of our dimension on it. And they're like, all right, cool. Well, we just need to move the Hadron Collider real quick. And the doctors are like, what? What do you mean move it? And he's like, this thing's 17 miles long. I don't know. That's a big fucking machine.
Yeah.
Like, I can't even fathom a machine 17 miles long. Like, I'm sitting here trying to think about how big that is. Anyway, big ass machine. And they're just like, yeah, we're just going to borrow it. We're going to move it where we need it to go. And, they literally, they evacuate an entire, like, 17-mile circle around this Hadron Collider. Except for the sheep. They just leave the sheep there like it's no big deal.
Yeah.
And,
sheep?
or are those cows? Those are sheep. Whatever. So they pick up they take the Hadron Collider up to the watchtower in space. And they're like, all right, put the dagger in the middle of it. And then they open up the gateway. And they head back to the Ranger universe. And everyone's like, and as they're arriving, they see Angel Grove in that big ass dome. And they're like, oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god. And Zach runs over, and his parents just happen to be right there. They just happen to be right there. They don't even acknowledge the fact that there's a whole team of superheroes behind them.
Yeah, right?
Or the fact that Zach's on the wrong side of the glass wall. But it's just, hey, Mom and Dad, I'm sorry that we got in a fight before I left today. And then everything just shrinks. They arrive just in time to see the city of Angel Grove shrink down to, like, pocket-sized. And then, you know, this picks up where the series started. Everyone's like, Zach, you can't beat yourself up about this. You just can't. You lost your home. I lost my home too. Let's make this about me. I'm Superman. And everyone, the Justice League's like, all right, guys, we're going to get your planet. We're going to get your shit back. But you can't go, like, ask for help from the United Nations looking like a bunch of teenagers. So we're going to gear you up with some cool shit. So,
dude, I like this sequence.
This part's great. I love when the Rangers get suited up in different ways, and this is one of the better ones they've done so far. That's not true. Yeah. All of them are pretty great. I mean, there are some other series that we're going to get into at some point later on, but this is good. This is a good way to dip the toes into the different forms. So they give Jason the Sword of Azrael. Azrael, for those that don't know, is one of Batman's old sidekicks who took over as Batman briefly during Nightfall, but then they had a big fight, and Azrael doesn't care about killing people. Also, he might be blessed by like God. Yeah. And he has a flaming sword, but only certain people's willpower is strong enough to turn it on, like to turn the flame on, which Jason has. And everyone's like, that is fucking tight. And then Zach picks up the atomic axe, which is made by the Atom, who is basically Ant-Man. And it's because, you know, axe goes with Zach.
Right.
And then Kimberly picks up one of Green Arrow's bows. And she's, like, observing the different, like, gimmick bows that Green Arrow has. One of which is a boxing glove on the end of an arrow for punching somebody in the face who's really far away. Which I kind of appreciate. And then they actually suit up, and I love the way that they suit up because they use a mixture of heroes and villain costumes. So we've got Kimberly wearing one of Hawkgirl's outfits. Trini's wearing one of Katana's outfits, which
dude, I had a fucking chuckle when I saw that.
Feels racist. It feels racist. I'm just gonna say it.
Yeah, no, it does.
Jason is basically just wearing a black bodysuit with the Red Hood's mask.
And Azrael's sword.
And carrying Azrael's sword. Tommy's wearing one of Lex Luthor's armors to fight Superman in, and a weird green helmet I don't recognize. Zach, it looks like he's wearing Mr. Terrific's outfit, but with one of Robin's eyepieces. And then, of course, we have Billy, who's wearing, I believe, is that Prometheus?
I think so. Couldn't pinpoint that one.
You know, they're all wearing, basically, half of them are villains, half of them are heroes at this point. And they're like, all right, let's go talk to the UN. So Superman takes himself to be a distraction to fight Brainiac and Lord Zedd's attacking ship. And while he's trying to hold off the main ship, the drones are breaking into the watchtower or their like space shuttle ship.
Mm-hmm.
And they end up like, you know, it's two very competent teams of heroes fighting these drones. They do a pretty good job. Right up until they take over Cyborg. So they end up just as Superman manages to get them their morphers and communicators back. One of Brainiac's drones takes over Cyborg's body and annihilates Batman. And it's odd seeing that because, like, we know Batman is more than willing to do what needs to be done to stop the superheroes if they get taken over. So the fact that Cyborg just took him out so easily was a bit of an insult to Batman as a character. But then Billy steps up. Billy, who, as we know, is kind of a little bit of a bitch when it comes to fighting. Billy steps up and just fucking double stabs through Cyborg's chest with Prometheus's spear and his own lance.
What a baller move.
Like, mad respect for Billy. Billy is the MVP of this fight. And then we go to the United Nations in the NATO headquarters in Brussels. Maybe, I guess it's not the United Nations, it's NATO. Whatever. And we get Black Richard Nixon standing up and saying, everyone, a city was taken from us, an American city. And everyone's like, are you trying to point fingers at us? Like, what are you saying here? And Wonder Woman steps in and he's like, guys, or Wonder Woman steps in and she's like, guys, this isn't nations fighting with nations. This is something, your brains are so small you can't even fathom it. At which point all of the NATO members are like, get this bitch out of here. And
a woman.
Yeah, a woman in here. Like there's they've got security guards trying to drag her to the ground, and she's just like traipsing on up, and so naturally the next thing is they take a shot at her, and something I've never understood. She's bulletproof, right?
I would say nearly. I don't know about all bulletproof. I always thought it was like just mainly like her cuffs and the armor she uses, because she can be quick with like deflecting the bullets. I don't know if like she herself is bulletproof.
Let's see. Oh, okay. Never mind. I'm sorry. I thought she was herself. I thought it was like Superman type thing where she's bulletproof. Anyway, but so she, being Wonder Woman, is like, ha, catch this. Deflects it back, probably kills the guy that shot her, and Black Richard Nixon's like, okay, look. Let's take a step back. What are you doing here? And she's like, look, I might not be from around here, you might not recognize me or the nation that I'm from, but I'm here to help with what's going on in Angel Grove. So the Rangers step out and they're like, hey, I know this ain't what we normally look like, but we are the Power Rangers. We've saved all yo asses like 4 or 5 times. Now you're gonna trust us to save everything, because you have no other options. So while the Rangers while half of the Rangers are trying to convince the the NATO representatives to let them, do what needs to be did. The rest of the Justice League is fighting giant monsters because Lord Zedd's just a flashy bitch. He needs to be the center of attention. He's like, look, Brainiac may have gotten the city, but I am going to take over the world. I'm going to destroy everything. And I got to be honest, this is a brilliant way of attacking, because Brainiac's up in space attacking, keeping, a good portion of the Justice League and Rangers busy, and Lord Zedd is fighting, half the Justice League on his own, while they know that they have that, and like the other rest of the Rangers are busy trying to get help from the rest of the world, essentially. So it's really a battle on three fronts, and if they're not careful, they're gonna get their shit rocked. And as Green Lantern's holding off a bunch of Brainiac bots, Superman walks in the room and he's like, "Hey, why's my robot friend got holes in his chest?" And Billy's like, "Huh, it's not what it looks like?"
Yeah.
And Cyborg Brainiac stands up and he's like, "You thought that was enough? You thought that was enough to win me, like to beat me?" And Batman's like, "No, I got this." And he's like, "Hey, Clark, hold him still," and literally just reaches into the open chest on Cyborg, which is oddly reminiscent to the open chest that Alpha had at the beginning of the series. It's a full circle we've come here.
Yep.
So naturally, the next thing Cyborg's going to do is start getting all melty, and then he's going to explode, right?
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, I'd be surprised if it didn't. And as Batman's rebooting him, Superman's just like, "Does he know you can do this?" And Bats just ignores the question.
Just typical Batman having a backup plan for everybody.
Yeah. Does Cyborg know you can reboot him? Whatever. And Cyborg comes back to life, and he's like, "Hey, why is there a hole in me?" And Billy's like, "I stabbed you, my bad."
Like, you went all Murderbot. I had to do something.
Yeah, like seriously, like he went Murderbot, and Brainiac, and he's just like, so Brainiac, he did it. He's launched his attack, and so they get to the trophy room, aka the jars, and they're all just like, okay, so there's a lot of jars here. What do we do? And Zach just naturally, just instinctively is like, it's right here. Guys, I found it. Let's go put it back. And while they're all trying to figure out how to best get it back into place, Brainiac is now playing with his new toy, Alpha.
Oh shit.
Alpha 5. And he's like, "Lord Zedd gave you to me as a goodwill token." And I appreciate that. So I'm curious. Like, you are clearly a superior piece of technology. Why are you working with these idiots? And he's like, "Because I love them. Like, they're my friends." And he's like, and Brainiac's like, I want to know everything that they know, and then I move on to the next planet." And then Alpha's just like, "Well, that sounds like you're a lonely motherfucker."
PG.
I spy with my little eye, a little fucking asshole. And Alpha kind of goes off on a little tangent, like spieling about why he chooses to stand with the Rangers. He feels that without some kind of camaraderie, what's the point of living? Like if you just bottle everybody up, you're denying everybody a future. You're like, there's only so many people you can cram into those little jars, man. Do you think Brainiac's first bottle that he ever got was the Rainbow Dash jar?
The Rainbow Dash jar?
You know what I'm talking about. Don't make me explain this one.
I'm gonna say yes on that one.
Here we go. For our listeners that don't know, the Rainbow Dash jar is a jar of, well, to put it bluntly, boiled cum. Dude glued a Rainbow Dash action figure to the bottom of a mason jar, and then he would fill it with his own. He would ejaculate into the jar, and he kept it stored on his radiator, which boiled the jar of semen. So it's a brown brown liquid. And rainbow, the jar itself has been permanently stained, as well as the figure. So, to go back to my original question, do you think that was Brainiac's first jar?
I'm pretty sure, yeah.
Yeah. Or it was like a centaur or something. So, with Alpha's speech, the Justice League, the Rangers, they're all regrouping. They're trying to better understand their enemy, because Brainiac's kind of he's kind of a hard one. He's not necessarily malicious. He's just driven. Like he's kind of like Lex Luthor. No, Lex Luthor's pretty malicious. He's not doing anything for the purpose of being evil. He's not doing anything for the purpose of being good. He's just existing. He's Galactus. Mm-hmm. He's a Galactus type figure. So Superman goes to have a discussion with him, and Brainiac's just like, dude, I am so much smarter than you. And to prove it, I'm going to show you. I have a piece of Krypton right here, which, as we all know, means he has kryptonite, because that's what Krypton's core was, or something like that. And he's like, I'm going to show you how smart I am by carving up your face with this. And while he's distracted by Superman, Brainiac gets a sword through the chest, and then his arms chopped off, and then his head chopped off. But he's Brainiac, so it's like he's a robot. He has 1,000 other bodies, right? Also, yeah. I just noticed a small error here. All right, so check it. We've got Cyborg with a hole in his chest, right?
Okay.
And then we got Cyborg without a hole in his chest in this panel right here.
Oh no.
So I was just thinking like, oh, maybe he got a new chest panel, right? But then we get to this part, and nope, hole in the chest with Cyborg again as they're gathering up the city. DC Comics and Boom Studios, you made a mistake. Sorry to say it. 8 years later. This is 8 years old. Holy shit.
Fuck, dude.
So, they take the city of Angel Grove back. And they're like, all right, let's get back down there. They hit all the Rangers up with the power coins. Everyone morphs, and they get prepared, because they took down Brainiac. That's great, but they still have one more person to fight, and that is Lord Zed. Now, Lord Zed has an army of his own of monsters with him, right? And he's also got a bunch of those fucking bombs, and he's like, everybody grow now. At which point the Flash catches the bomb, prevents him from growing, and hands off the growth bomb to the only person he can think to give it to that's not fighting against everything, which happens to be Alpha 5.
What?
And the Brainiac bot's like, hey, you give that to me right now. And Alpha's like, no. And the Brainiac bot's like, but you have no choice. And Alpha's like, wanna bet? And he uses the bomb on himself and uppercuts a giant worm lizard thing.
Dude, MVP.
Here's the thing. At the point when this came out, Alpha 5's not a fighter. He is a support ally, right?
Uh-huh.
So this is the first time we've really gotten to see Alpha like let loose and start throwing hands. And boy howdy, he throws hands. To the point that everybody there is like, holy shit. Did Alpha just uppercut a lizard demon worm? And so the Rangers and the Justice League are just kind of like, I guess we'll just leave it to him. So they're fighting the Putties and the Brainiacs. Alpha's right hooking the worm left and right. I guess he's right and left hooking. But, all of this, keep in mind, happening in NATO headquarters. So, like the building's getting destroyed by Alpha not being careful with his punches. Because he's silly.
Yeah.
And Alpha doesn't realize, there's collateral damage when you're fighting. And he's like immediately like, oh my god, I am despicable. I almost killed all those people. And everyone's like, dude, we destroy buildings on a daily basis. You're cool, man. Don't worry about it. So in addition to Brainiac controlling all the Zords still. Lord Zed himself, Zed's there in charge, and he is carrying the city of Angel Grove, or he is carrying specifically the command center on a necklace around his neck.
Huh.
It's pill-shaped, so I'm guessing he's going to use it as a suppository. So as everybody's like literally just tearing apart robots and giant mud monsters, Billy and Cyborg are like trying to reverse engineer Brainiac's arm to, I guess, deactivate something, all of them. He ends up basically implanting himself with a virus so that when the Brainiac machines try to take him over again, they get viruses and die. So Brainiac ends up getting a virus implanted into all of the Brainiac bots, and Billy's just like, huh, I thought you were a 12 level intelligence. Dumbass.
What a nerd.
I know, right? Which ends up cleaning up the Zords. The Zords are now back in the control of the Rangers. And Zed is just like, all right, you know what? My plans are falling apart. So we just going to blow everything up. And he ends up double dosing himself with the grow-up bombs.
Uh-oh.
And he's standing there and he's just like, hey, let's boogie. And everyone's kind of like, does he realize he just made himself a bigger target? At which point he laughs and zaps Wonder Woman, Superman, and Green Lantern out of the sky with his staff of Zed. And Batman's like, shit. These guys are so susceptible to magic. We are in the wrong fight with the wrong party. But luckily, because the Zords are now back in the control of the Rangers, the Megazord has shown up without the morphing sequence, without any of the fanfare. It's just there, and it like just absolutely trashes Zed. They get the command center back, the necklace back, which I think is interesting that they just robot arms snatch it out of the air, because I feel like that would crush the glass, you know?
Yeah.
They get it back, and they hand it off to Alpha, who's still big, by the way. Alpha's still a big boy, big beefy boy, and Zed and the Megazord just start wailing on each other. This is one of those fights. There's no finesse. There is absolutely zero finesse in this fight. They don't even use their weapons at this point. They are just throwing punches at each other. And Zed finally just gets fed up, and he unleashes a shockwave from his staff. And in the chaos that ensues, he shrinks back down to normal size and just runs. He's like, yeah, you know what? He who fights and runs away lives to fight another day. And Wonder Woman's like, oh man, I'll get him. And Kimberly jumps out of the Megazord and is like, nah, I got this. And she takes the punching, the boxing glove arrow and fires it and knocks him down. And insists that it's the best satisfying thing ever.
Nice.
So the Megazord now, again, giving kind of a scale on how big it is, the Megazord's big enough to hold the Brainiac ship in its hands.
That's crazy.
I know. And they reposition Angel Grove back where it was as best they can. And then they unshrink it. And there's a moment when they're putting it back into place, when they're like, they're fighting over whether they should adjust it at all. And so the Flash is like, I think this is pretty good, a little to the left here. And Billy's like, I don't know, you got to be pretty specific. Like, if it's not right, everything could break. And they're like, hey, Superman, you have telescopic and X-ray vision and microscopic vision. Tell me how it looks. And then they fix it, and they make it grow again, and nothing really changes. I feel like the people on the inside, most of them didn't even know what the hell happened. You know, I feel like Bill, in like accounting for, you know, Angel Grove Corp, was just at his desk working the whole time.
People were just like in a fucking coma.
God, Can you imagine being in a coma during this? Like waking
And you wake up
and
at the exact moment.
like you wake up and everyone's like, dude, you're not gonna believe what happened while you were asleep. First of all, dude, were you awake when Alien Space Witch attacked? Dude, what? So they city grows back up. They're at the juice bar as they always do at the end of the episodes. Bulk and Skull are there harassing them like, hey nerds, we didn't see you when we all shrank. What happened? And Bruce Wayne cold like gives them the stare down, and they fuck right off. And then they're all just sitting there ordering like juice, like smoothies and stuff. You got Batman, or I'm sorry, Bruce Wayne and Zach and Barry Allen all sitting at the table. And I just, for the first time, I've read this comic probably a dozen times. I just realized that even the Justice League members are color coordinating their outfits. God damn it. Bruce Wayne's
Also, Batman at the table.
Yeah, well, Bruce Wayne's just wearing his suit and tie as he always does. Barry Allen's wearing a red shirt. John Stewart's wearing a green shirt. And Bruce is just like, hey, don't worry about the bill. I got this. And they're like, no, you don't, because we never had Lex Luthor as president.
Oh.
And Lex Luthor's on the money, so. And then everything goes back to normal. The Justice League say their goodbyes to the Power Rangers. They prepare to return to their own universe. And everything's hunky-dory. Until at the very, very end, last like half page, Alpha's overwhelmed with emotions from what's happened, and as he eyes one last time, he reveals that he has in fact been taken over by Brainiac.
What? Oh, who saw that coming?
I know, and they were like setting it up to be like have a follow-up series, but it's been 8 years at this point, so I'm doubtful that we're gonna get a Justice League Power Rangers 2. Which fucking sucks, man. So, overall, I think this series it's definitely one of the more forgettable spin-offs that the Mighty Morphin Power, like the Boom Studios comics have done.
Yeah.
But, that being said, I appreciate what it gave us, you know. We got to see the Rangers fighting alongside another team for the first time, really, in the comics. We got to see involvement from key players in the Power Rangers mythos that don't really fight much, with Alpha getting to actually have some time to shine. But yeah, overall, like, don't get me wrong, I like what they did with it, but I just feel like, especially ending on a cliffhanger like this, it left something to be desired, you know?
Yeah, we needed a little bit more.
Yeah, we needed a little bit more, or at least a follow-up to it, like a follow-up series, because I hate so much when it's one of those like to be continued ... question mark. That's literally what they're doing. They put Brainiac in Alpha, but now we don't know what's going to happen with it. So, Boom Studios, get on your shit, man. We've seen some of the other crossovers we've gotten from them lately. We've got, you know, they met the Ninja Turtles. They met Usagi Yojimbo. Come on, just get back with the Justice League. You guys fought Godzilla, for God's sakes. Twice,
yep.
Man.
There was too much money in those.
Yeah.
Not enough for another Justice League.
I guess not, like really. So, do you have any last thoughts you want to add?
No, just overall it was a good read. Something out of the ordinary I would never see the Power Rangers do. So it was a good surprise for me.
Sweet.
I thought it was done really well.
It was definitely a different art style than what we usually get with the Power Rangers, which I can appreciate. It's a little a little bit like it's cartoonish like some of the other artists have done, but it's still grounded in realism, which I appreciate.
Yeah, it still has that Power Ranger charm.
Yeah.
Yeah. It also brings a little charm to the Justice League that you often don't see a lot.
Yeah, I like stressed out Clark Kent with his 5 o'clock shadow. That part tickled me.